Her screams of agony echoed through the sterile hospital hallway as another contraction ripped through her body. Nurses rushed around her, machines beeped steadily, and the sharp scent of antiseptic clung to the air. But even in the midst of labor, one thing hurt more than her contractions: he wasn't there. The man she had loved, the man she had married, the father of her unborn child, had vanished the moment her water broke. And now, as she brought life into the world, she was completely, devastatingly alone. Tears blended with sweat on her face. She gritted her teeth, pushed, and then, at last, a soft cry. The doctor held up a tiny bundle, red-faced and wriggling, and said gently, "It's a girl." She barely had the strength to smile. "Hi, baby," she whispered, her voice breaking as they placed the infant in her arms. For a moment, everything felt right. But the door creaked open, and in stepped the man she thought was her forever. He looked at her with cold detachment. "We're done." She blinked, dazed. "What? I told you I never wanted this baby." "You thought you could change my mind," he said, tossing a duffel bag on the hospital chair. "I've packed your things. The house is no longer yours. You have until tomorrow to figure out where to go." He didn't look at the child. Didn't ask if she was okay. He just turned and walked out. Her name was Ava. 29. Once full of dreams and laughter, now left shattered and holding a newborn with no clue where to go next. Her heart pounded, not with the exhaustion of labor, but with the paralyzing fear of being utterly alone. She didn't cry. Not then. There was no time. Her baby was hungry, whimpering softly. Ava pulled her close, kissing her forehead. "It's just you and me now," she murmured. By the next morning, she was wheeled out of the hospital in the same gown she delivered in, with a small suitcase and a baby bag clutched to her side. The sky was gray, the wind bitter. She stepped out onto the sidewalk, unsure of what to do or who to call. And then she froze. There, leaning against a sleek black SUV, stood a man in a long coat. His posture casual, his eyes shielded behind dark sunglasses, but unmistakably familiar. "Liam," she whispered, her voice nearly lost in the wind. He pulled off his sunglasses slowly and gave her a small, solemn smile. "Hello, Ava." She felt dizzy. She hadn't seen him in almost 6 years. Not since they parted ways after college, him to the city to chase investments, her to settle down with the man who had just discarded her like trash. Liam had been her first love. The boy who held her hand at midnight on graduation day. The man who had quietly slipped away when she told him she needed stability. "What are you doing here?" she asked, voice trembling. "I heard what happened," he said simply. "I've been following your life from a distance. I didn't want to interfere. But when I found out you were left here with nothing. After giving birth, I couldn't stay away." Her knees almost buckled. "How did you even know?" "I have my ways." He walked up to her slowly. "You don't have to say yes. But I can't let you stand out here like this. Come with me. Just for now. Let me help." She looked down at the tiny face in her arms, so innocent, so vulnerable. Ava didn't have time to question the strangeness of it all. Her pride screamed at her to say no, but her child's needs outweighed everything. She nodded, just once. The inside of the SUV was warm, filled with the faint scent of leather and Liam's cologne. The baby slept soundly as they drove through the city. Ava sat silently, overwhelmed. "I can take you to a hotel, or if you'd feel safer. I have a guest house on my property." "No strings," Liam offered quietly. She glanced at him, studying the faint lines on his face, the quiet seriousness in his voice. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I remember the girl who made me believe in love. And I know she deserved better than what she got." The next few days were a blur of exhaustion and wonder. Ava moved into the guest house, a cozy cottage tucked behind Liam's sprawling estate. He didn't hover, didn't ask questions. He simply made sure she had what she needed: baby clothes, groceries, nursing pads, even a swing set he installed himself in the backyard. Each night, Ava cried softly in the dark, grieving the man she had thought was her soulmate. The betrayal cut deep. But in the quiet hours, when she rocked her daughter to sleep, she felt a strange new strength blooming inside her. She was still broken, yes. But she was not defeated. Liam would visit sometimes, bringing dinner or just sitting with her. One night, she found herself telling him everything: the way her husband had changed after they married, the coldness that seeped into their life, the loneliness of carrying a child he didn't want. "He made me feel like I was worthless," she confessed. "You were never worthless," Liam said, his voice fierce. He couldn't see the treasure in front of him. "But I do." She looked at him then, really looked. And she remembered the Liam who once stayed up with her all night when she had the flu. The one who brought her flowers just because. The man who kissed her like she was the only woman on earth. Weeks turned to months. Ava slowly found herself again. She began sketching in the mornings, taking her daughter on long walks, cooking meals that reminded her of home. Liam never pressed her. But the way he looked at her made her heart ache with possibilities. Then, one afternoon, her ex-husband showed up. He came with arrogance, not apology. He wanted custody. Not because he loved the child, but because he hated the idea of her being rescued by another man. He filed papers, dragged her into court, tried to paint her as unstable, homeless, incapable. Ava shook as she sat before the judge. But Liam sat behind her, his presence like a fortress. When it was her turn to speak, Ava rose with her baby in her arms. "I was thrown out with a newborn," she said clearly. "I had nothing. No home, no money, no family. But I never gave up. I fed her, bathed her, sang to her when she cried. I built a life from ashes. And I won't let anyone tear it down." The courtroom fell silent. The judge ruled in her favor. Outside the courthouse, Liam wrapped his coat around her shoulders as she shook with relief. "You did it," he whispered. "No," she replied, tears slipping down her cheeks. "We did it." That night, as they sat on the porch, stars overhead, her baby asleep in the bassinet beside them, Ava turned to Liam. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Of starting again. Of falling again." He took her hand. "I'm not asking for everything. Just, start with trusting me." She didn't speak. She didn't need to. She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder, letting herself believe. Just for a moment, that maybe life was offering her a second chance. And in the days that followed, she saw that love wasn't always perfect. It wasn't flashy or loud. Sometimes, it came in the form of steady hands holding yours when the world turned its back. Sometimes, it waited outside the hospital when you had nowhere else to go. Ava built a new life, not as someone's wife or someone's failure, but as a mother, an artist, and a woman who had survived. With Liam by her side, not saving her, but walking beside her. Because sometimes, after the worst heartbreaks, the most beautiful beginnings wait just around the corner. And for Ava, the beginning started the moment she said yes to the man who waited, outside.